What if I told you that becoming your strongest self has nothing to do with being louder and everything to do with knowing when to stay completely silent? Stick with me, because what you're about to learn could change everything you thought you knew about strength. Carl Jung once said something that shifted the entire field of psychology. Your vision becomes clear only when you can look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. And today, I want to show you that silence isn't weakness, it's the highest form of inner strength. Here's where most people get it wrong, and it's costing them their peace, their purpose, and their full potential. It took me years to understand this. Something Carl Jung discovered after decades studying the human mind. Silence isn't a lack of power, it's proof of it. In a world obsessed with noise, clapping, and constant validation, the person who can stay silent has already won half the battle. Jung said there's something called the collective unconscious, a shared layer of thoughts, instincts, and memories we all carry. But here's the key. To step into your personal power, you have to pull away from that collective noise. You have to learn to be still. And if you think silence is weakness, consider this: Jesus stood silent before his accusers. He didn't yell to prove he was right. He didn't argue. He didn't need to. You don't need to respond to every critic. You don't have to fight every battle. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say absolutely nothing and keep moving forward. Jung taught that when we keep reacting to every little thing, we're living from what he called the persona, the mask we wear for the world. But real power doesn't come from that mask. It comes from the self, your true, centered being that doesn't need approval. But there's one type of silence that Jung warned is dangerous, and too many people fall into it without knowing. It's the silence that comes, not from fear, but from confidence. When you truly know who you are, you no longer need to be seen. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't need applause. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming your true self apart from society's expectations. You're not quiet because you're scared. You're quiet because your energy is too valuable to waste on noise. And trust me, not every argument is worth your time. Not every voice deserves an answer. Some battles are just distractions meant to knock you off your path. Jung uncovered a powerful truth. Strong people don't argue much. Why? Because they've done the inner work. They don't take every irritation personally. They recognize that chaos from others is usually a reflection of their own pain, not yours. I used to think silence made me look weak. I thought if I didn't speak up or fix every misunderstanding, I was losing control. But Jung proved the opposite. It takes far more strength to hold your peace than to argue with people who aren't ready to understand. And what he found about loud people will change how you think. Forever those who shout the most are often the ones who feel the least heard. Real strength doesn't need to speak. It shows up in your actions, your calm, your progress. Your life becomes your message. Jung called this authentic power. Power that doesn't have to announce itself because it flows from someone who's grounded. When Jesus stood silent before his enemies, it wasn't because he was retreating, it was because he already had authority. Silence wasn't a weakness. It was power, completely under control. But Jung also uncovered something about silence that most self-help gurus don't talk about him. It's the secret to true growth. He found that in silence, we activate something called the transcendent function. It's a bridge between the conscious and unconscious mind. That's where the real transformation happens. Not out there in the noise, but inside you, in the quiet moments of reflection. In your life, there will be times when you're misunderstood, judged, or overlooked. Let them. Your silence isn't silence. It's a signal that you're unshaken, grounded, and sure of who you are. The ones who yell the most are often trying to find something they've never owned worth: attention, peace. Jung believed there's a reason why trees grow tall in silence. That same principle applies to you. You don't need to announce your growth. Just keep showing up. Let your consistency speak for itself. Let your results make the noise. A tree never explains how tall it's becoming. It just grows. And one day, the same people who ignored your seed will have to recognize your fruit. Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And becoming, it requires silence. It requires space. It requires stepping back from all the voices telling you who to be. Here's what Jung found about the enemy's favorite weapon. It's not what you think, it's distraction. Silence isn't about running from conflict. It's about rising above it. You've got to protect your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. Jung called this psychological integration. The moment your emotional balance no longer depends on what's happening around you. When the enemy can't break you, he'll try to distract you. He'll send confusion, drama, arguments, anything to pull you off track. But when you stay silent, when you stay locked in, when you don't take the bait, you win. Every single time. Jung discovered a shocking truth about silence and growth. Most people miss their biggest breakthroughs because of this. There's a kind of transformation that only happens in silence. Away from the pressure. Away from the spotlight. He called it the night sea journey, dark, inward phase you enter before major change. It's quiet, isolated, and it's where you become who you really are. We live in a world obsessed with being seen and heard. But Jung said real growth doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the hidden places. The quiet corners of your soul. And what he discovered about lonely seasons will change how you view your pain. The most powerful times in your life will feel lonely. Not because you're unloved, but because you're being separated. And separation isn't rejection. It's preparation, Jung said. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But sometimes, you have to break away from others to meet yourself. Growth demands silence. It demands discipline. And sometimes it means walking your path alone. Think about the seed. Before it becomes anything, it has to go deep underground. Hidden, broken in the dark, before it rises into the light. Jung found that people who try to explain their process to everyone often lose their direction. People won't always understand your silence. They'll say you've changed, that you're distant, that you're cold. Let them. You're not here to explain your process. You're here to protect it. According to Jung, when you're building something real within yourself, you don't have time for distractions. You're not here to please everyone. You're not available for surface-level noise. He called this the tension of opposites, staying committed to your growth, even when everything around you tries to pull you back into comfort. And here's what Jung said about the people who aren't meant to walk your path and understand. This, recognizing who's not meant to go with you, could literally save your future. Not everyone is meant to walk beside you right now. Some people were only meant for your past, not your next chapter. Carl Jung found that we often drag people along into our growth who simply aren't built for the journey. And the longer you keep trying to bring them where they were never meant to go, the more you delay your destiny. Jung once said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And part of that acceptance means realizing that your evolution might make other people uncomfortable. That's not your problem to fix. But Carl Jung also uncovered a truth about real power that will stop you from ever chasing attention again. Growth is uncomfortable. It will stretch you, humble you, and reveal your weak spots, but don't run from it. Jung called this individuation the painful but essential process of becoming whole and real power. It doesn't seek attention. It moves with purpose, speaks with clarity, and lives in peace. Here's something else Jung discovered about your sacred path that most people ruin without realizing it. One of the hardest lessons in life is knowing this: not everyone deserves access to your journey. Jung said, your vision becomes clear when you look into your heart. But if you keep explaining your vision to people who can't see it, you'll lose your clarity too. Your purpose is sacred, and it has to be protected like something sacred. The wrong people in the right space will always lead to the wrong result. Just because someone's nearby doesn't mean they're meant to go where you're going. Jung also made a discovery about peace that will completely change how you see relationships. When you turn your focus inward, something powerful happens. You realize peace isn't something you chase, it's something you create. Jung found that everything we need is already inside us. We just have to learn how to access it. And the moment you stop focusing on others and start focusing on yourself, you'll realize how much energy you've wasted on things that don't matter. He called this withdrawing projections, reclaiming the power you gave away to outside people or things that had no business defining your inner world. And what Jung found about stillness will make you never want to rush your process again. There's something sacred about being still in a world that never stops moving. Jung once said, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. And those barriers, they can only be uncovered through stillness." Sometimes progress looks like patience, like waiting, like trusting when everything around you says panic. And in those quiet moments, something deep is happening inside you that doesn't need to be seen or clapped for. Jung's final insight about silence is one that will stay with you for life. He said, "The most important question anyone can ask is, what myth am I living?" So ask yourself this: are you living under the myth that being loud means being powerful? Or are you finally ready to live the truth that silence is power? Because it's in stillness that your direction becomes clear. It's in silence that your strength is revealed, and it's in the waiting that your real purpose unfolds. Sometimes, the loudest and most powerful thing you can do is absolutely nothing. Focus on your inner world. Stay quiet. Trust what's unfolding. Your breakthrough is already on its way, and when it arrives, it will speak louder than any defense ever could. The world needs more people who understand that silence is strength. Will you be one of them? Stay grounded, stay focused, stay quiet, and just watch what unfolds. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If anything in this message resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and please share this video with someone who needs it.